Today's just going to be a little vlog. I say little, it's probably going to be quite long. It's going to be a little vlog today about film rules, and I spoke about it in a previous vlog post about my preliminary task, how we use the film rules of 180-degree rule, match on action, in order to and we took those into consideration when creating our preliminary task. So basically this is going to be the video explaining those rules, and I'm also going to explain the rule of thirds, which is a new rule that I haven't mentioned before, but again we kind of thought about it when making our preliminary task. All of these rules, I think in my preliminary task we used them effectively, but I think obviously we can develop those skills to make our like opening and our final sequence a lot better, and make it seem a lot more professional. So yeah, so basically here we go, starting with the 180-degree rule. Let's get into this. So basically the 180-degree rule, you might have heard of it before, people talking about an imaginary line and crossing the line and not crossing the line. I'm going to make it simple for you. Basically, if you can imagine two people speaking to each other, so on a scene, so there's a person here and a person here, we can draw a line from connecting both of the positions they are on the screen or the stage, a straight line between the two, connecting the two, and we can extend it from one side of the set to the other side of the set, and that separates two sides of the action. It clearly distinguishes two sides of the action either side. Generally when filming, you're going to want to film from one side. You want to stick to one side when you're filming, and basically what that does is, say we've got two characters, Bob and Mary, yeah? Bob is on this side, Mary's there, there's a line between them, and we're filming from one side. When we film from that side, Bob is on the left, Mary's on the right when they're speaking, and the audience mentally makes a mental map of that in their head, and it engages, and so they know where everyone is in that scene, and they're not, and they can build a mental map up, and they kind of know, and they know where people are, and it's fine. So when you go from different shots on that line, on that kind of 180 degrees axis, that it doesn't disorientate them. They know where the people are, and that makes sense in their head. But if you break that line, and well, Bob's not going to be on the left anymore, he's going to be on the right, and Mary's going to be on the left, and that's going to confuse people, and it's going to take them actually out of the action of the film, and kind of maybe the storyline and what's happening in the film, the narrative, and actually it's going to take them a little bit of time to, because it's disconcerting to the audience, it's going to take them a little bit of time to actually work out where everyone is again, and that's going to be quite hard for them to work out. But yeah, so that's kind of the 180-degree rule, and there's exceptions to it, and people like directors like Stanley Kubrick have actually been shown, and do quite a lot of the time, break this kind of axis. There's ways to break it. One, for example, if the camera, you're on this side and the camera's shown in one shot to pan to the other side, then that's acceptable. But if you just have a jump from one side and then a straight edit to the other side, that generally can be quite disconcerting, but they can use it, and people like Stanley Kubrick can use this, and directors like him can use it to maybe show different things and use it for effect. For example, if it's a scene where the person is quite confused or not necessarily in the best mental mindset, then it can the jumping between sides can show this kind of idea of how they're not mentally stable, and that actually, and the mindset of which they have, and shows that they're not mentally stable and things like that, and it can be used to show the audience that, as it disorientates them and things like that. So I'm just going to insert a little picture right now that's going to show you what I'm kind of talking about the imaginary line. So that's going to be inserted right now. Now we're going to explain this idea of match on action, and again we tried to use it within our preliminary task. So match on action, or cutting on action, is an editing technique for continuity editing, in which one shot cuts to another shot, betraying the action of the subject in the first shot. And basically it creates kind of a visual bridge, and the audience can kind of work out, and it doesn't disorientate them. So a way in which we use that is, for example, when Olivia opens a door, so we see one shot of her putting her hand on the door, there's then a close-up of her pushing that door outward, and then the last shot from the other side of that bit of action is her pushing the door and walking through it. And we've edited that in order to so it flows, and it makes all the action flow and seem fluid, which is obviously a really good thing. And obviously if it seems jolty, then it's not appealing to the audience, and it's not gonna be very good, is it? So basically it creates kind of a visual bridge as such, and it basically your one shot cuts and is edited to portray the action of that shot. The next shot portrays the action of it. So when you're opening it, the next shot is opening the door, and that's the matching on action. I will incorporate a little description down below, just like a definition to kind of make sense more, and you can go back to the preliminary task to see the example of Olivia opening the door, and maybe that will help you kind of get the idea of match on action a little bit more. But pretty much it's one shot goes to the next shot to match or portray the action of another shot. But again, I'll put a definition down below so you know what that is. Thanks. So we are nearing the end of the video here, and I'm just going to explain the last little one that last little theme rule that I need to kind of explain in this video. So that is the rule of thirds. And basically it's the idea that the screen is split into 9 sections, which would mean there's 3 thirds going from the top of the screen, so 1, 2, 3, and from across screen 1, 2, 3. I presently am in the kind of main third here, occupying probably about 3 boxes. I'll incorporate a diagram to obviously show you it, but basically there's 4 focal points on a screen about here. So this is the screen about here. Again, the diagram will show you this, and basically this is something film producers will look at when they're framing their shots. So generally the main subject of a shot is never going to be straight in the center. There'll be probably off center either side, maybe a little bit of background here, and you probably subconsciously have used this without even acknowledging you using it. So for example, when kids in primary schools or whatever, they draw a picture of a house, so the bottom bit is the garden, that's the bottom third, and then you've got the house in the next third, and then kind of the horizon or the sky in the top third, and that's kind of the rule of thirds. Basically it's the screen split up into thirds either way, and the framing is kind of used to do that. Again, I'll put a definition down below, and I'm going to put a little picture in here to kind of explain to you. But what film producers would do is they would use it, and they use it to kind of make their shots look more attractive and more appealing to the audience. So they probably put their main character, the main focus of that shot, off center slightly, and it makes it a little bit more appealing. But yeah, I'll show you it, and I'll put a little description down below. But yeah, I'm going to incorporate that picture right now.